We are kicking off our first Liquidium Lunch Club in almost a year. We have our CTO Pete back in the building. I think you guys remember him from our previous endeavors, but we have a new team member joining us here. He was a guest before, and we got Perp in the building. How are you boys feeling? I hear that. Oh! Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, we got the boys in the building. You know, Artemis 2 just launched yesterday, so it's got to be up only from here, man. This has got to be the start of the bull. What y'all think? Yeah, literally. We're going, bro. So, yes, sir. So, before we kick everything off here, I just want to go ahead and do the usual lunch club thing. You know, it is lunch club, and we did come prepared. I'm kind of crazy today. I'm going black pepper beef jerky. I'm going basic boy Waterloo with the tropical fruit. Sorry, had to do it today. But hey man, whoo! Oh yeah, oh yeah, bro. We should do a segment today of like a picture of you a year ago versus what your pictures look like now, bro. Yeah, it's wild. What you got going on over there, Petey boy? Bruh. I think you just lost 5 pounds in muscle mass today alone. Boys, they have a term for that. It's called binge eating. Yeah, that's what they say to do, right? You got that right. You got to get it where you can get it. So I want to shout out. We got Zemo in the crowd here in Discord. If you guys remember our format last time, if you want to come interact with us, you know, take questions and whatnot in the fastest way possible, come join our Discord and jump in the stage here. And feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions or anything to chat about regarding our topics today. But I'll kick things off just really quickly, touching on where we were last time on the show and where we are now. So, last time we were on the show, we had just launched instant loans, which is crazy. In about a year's time, we're a couple months removed from a year, as we ended in July. But we have done now from our records, 240 plus Bitcoin in volume on instant loans between runes and ordinals. And actually, most of our volume on the Liquidium WTF platform is through instant loans. So it was an interesting storyline for us, especially as Bitcoiners and starting off with the product as a DLC technology, and then moving to the way we moved with the market and the need for instant loans and less friction between multiple signatures. Went to an architecture that enabled very easy, seamless loan experience, and we were thankful to see that pivot really not only helped us but helped everybody else who used the platform have a much better experience, faster experience, etc. So that's what the storyline was with instant loans. But today our focus is going to be on our latest Endeavor, our newest product, the Liquidium Fi cross-chain loans product. Many of you guys who've been following us or paying attention have seen um, us been working on this and talking about it for a really long time. So having been able to bring it to market, bring it publicly, within the last month or so has been huge for us internally. Having gone from the proof of concept and everything we've talked about to actually being able to get something out there for you to utilize now, um, with native Bitcoin and USDT on Ethereum as our first pairings there. So, people with that native Bitcoin who love Xverse wallet and, maybe you got Phantom wallet, whatever you like, you can bring that native Bitcoin over, park it, borrow against it instead of selling your sats. That's my line. I don't like people selling sats. I don't like selling sats. So I think that only makes sense for Bitcoiners use case. But today we're going to kind of dive into that product, where we're going with that product. We'll go a little bit in depth into the UI and give you a look at how you can use it, what you're interfacing with, so that you have some familiarity there. And also, we'll talk about where the product is going in the near and midterm as well, to give you guys a little bit more insight on what we're cooking up over here and how we plan to help you unlock your liquidity without selling your assets. So I think this is a perfect point for me to go ahead and let Mr. Pete take the mic here. Mr. Pete, would you like to show the good people what you and the good old dev team have worked so tirelessly on over the last like almost 2 years? Pete, pause. We have notification on Twitter that we have no sound going through Twitter. So I need to take a look at that real quick. Um, let's see. Purple. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Like you can hear it on your phone? Huh. I'm trying to decide like should if I need a troubleshoot or not, and it sounds like no. Okay.
It's the the overall the pool on Liquidium. Um, yeah, so I can go into the USDT market here, and then I can see that there's currently $423 available. Anything not available is being borrowed out currently, and we're currently at a 15% utilization, meaning that out of everything that's deposited, 15% is out in borrowing. So how much is deposited? We can see that right here. The total supplied is 500K. How much is borrowed? We can see that here, $76,000, almost $77,000. And one thing to mention is today we actually had the largest single borrow. Somebody deposited, I think it was 0.77 BTC, and then they immediately borrowed $24,000 USDT.
Boom. Where else does
So
that work, baby? It's insane.
yeah, there it is. There it is at work. And then yeah, so they're only paying, not even 1% APY. And the loans are indefinite. So again, all you need to do is manage your health, make sure you're not liquidated, and then you can borrow as long as you want, do whatever you want with the USDT or the stables or whatever else you borrow. Um, and interest is dynamic. So basically, whatever the rate is right now, that's how much debt you're accruing in this moment. But if interest drops, you're just accruing at a lower rate, or if it goes up, you're accruing at a higher rate. Um, yeah, pretty simple and straightforward. And playing around with the utilization here, we can see what the APY is and what it could be. So right now, we're live at current, which is 15.5% utilization. And like I said, bar APY, not even 1%. So if we go up to say 50% utilization rate, then the borrow APY is still only less than 3%. So yeah, so we can see here, this is how you can see what the APY would look like based off different utilization rates. And one big thing to mention is that we do have strong liquidity commitments ready, so we can scale up the supply as borrowing increases. So yeah, so we can support some solid borrowing demand already, and looking forward to seeing more. But yeah, nice. Anything I missed, guys? Anything you want to touch on?
It's fantastic. We got audio working perfectly back again, so we're looking good there. Did you want to touch on any parts of how like the borrowing, the supply, the borrow, the portfolio kind of flow looks there? Yeah, anything they should look for in the profile section?
Yeah. We can keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I guess we can look at the Bitcoin side of the market real quick, and
Mm-hmm.
I see that there is currently 3.7 BTC deposited. Um, so these users mostly are looking to borrow against their BTC. However, they also earn some yield if people are borrowing Bitcoin. Right here, it seems that they're earning a very small 0.1% APY. But if demand for borrowing Bitcoin increases, that APY goes up,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where the APY comes from. It's not any fancy schmancy economics going on. It's really just if somebody's borrowing that asset, they're gonna repay extra to get their collateral back. So yeah,
Makes
nice and
sense.
stable APY.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. But cool. Then back to the portfolio page. Let's see. Anything specific to touch on? I guess I can show this profile section here. I can go ahead and connect my Ethereum wallet. I can also connect my Bitcoin wallet because that's how I'll interact with either either one of those. And in some cases, that can be the same wallet. So for me, I'm using Phantom because they support Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, which makes it super easy for me. I'll go ahead and connect. Boom, now I'm connected. So yeah, then I can do anything I need straight from my Phantom wallet. Like I said, I can send BTC here, I can withdraw it straight to my Phantom, or even like to a custom address, I can withdraw it somewhere else. I just gotta put in the address here. So yeah, really super flexible flow, super flexible interactions.
We
Yeah,
have
just
self-hosted wallets too, right? Where you can just populate an address. You don't even have to connect a wallet to be
Yep.
able
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Supply some. You just hit the custom toggle here. Hope. Let me go back. Supply, and then you can either do with your wallet, or you can use a deposit address, which is your custom. This is your personal address you can send in, and boom, there's your BTC.
I think looking forward, that's pretty cool for agentic stuff way down, like down the road.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I like thinking in the future to like that kind of thing. Really cool. It's a neat way. Because yeah, lines of credit, it's so practical with Bitcoin these days.
Totally. Totally. Super easy. Super simple. Anybody can use it. Yeah, I think what we've been working on too is maybe some demos of AI just playing around. We're almost at that point. That'd be pretty sick, right? You can just tell your
Yeah.
bot, hey, go get me some stables for my Bitcoin. Um, and yeah, we got the best rates right now, so it's a clear option.
There's going to be like CLI for various DeFi, farms and stuff like that. So you could be like, find the best rate, take out a Liquidium loan, and then you cycle it through, an Aave farm or something. Yeah, it's cool. Future's right around the corner.
Oh yeah, so much to do. It can go in so many ways. Honestly, we're so flexible here with what we can do. But yeah, otherwise, let's see what else we can walk through. I think
One thing that gets brought up a lot is like liquidations. You can talk about the portfolio health kind of thing, how that works. Because we're looking at the little portfolio bar here in the middle.
Yep, yeah, yeah, yeah. So liquidations, the way that they work is, if your portfolio drops, like slightly below 0%, let's say like negative, 5%, for example, or lower, then up to half of your position can be liquidated. So meaning I'll basically lose half of my Bitcoin here. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you keep a healthy portfolio. And to help out with that, what we did is we integrated notifications. So you can go ahead and you can connect your email, you can connect your Telegram here, and then yeah, that we'll send out emails like, hey, portfolio health is looking risky. Make sure you do something about it. I think those come in at like 10 and 15% health. So that's one thing to help keep you safe. Another thing is that the liquidations, anybody can run a liquidator bot. It's totally open and permissionless. So you can just plug in uh, to, or run your own bot and potentially earn, by buying Bitcoin at a discount is what liquidators do. So when they liquidate, basically what you're doing is you're paying USDT for BTC, but you're buying that BTC at a discount, and that gives you the opportunity to earn profit.
Yeah, I can see lots of people using that type of thing. And then like also we've got API
Mm-hmm.
SDK stuff on the way as well, right? So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. SDKs
if
coming
you're
soon.
a project founder out there or another company, yeah, there's lots of good potential there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can definitely touch on that a little bit towards the end and kind of let people know where we're trying to, plug in at.
Yes, sir. Yeah, lots of cool things
Might
to
be
play
a
around with.
Yeah, it might be a good spot also real quick just to see if we have any questions out there in the crowd. As I see Dosey Do BTC is on the prowl here with some questions. Perp, do you see any on your end by any chance?
I'm seeing the do questions. I guess it depends on what type of topics you want to tackle today. Mo is asking where are the forks, dude. I already finished my lunch. I brought lunch. It happened. I just was stuffing my face at the beginning. So, FYI, he's trying to keep me honest. Yeah,
Bring
Yo,
the
appreciate you
fork
checking
the
back, bro.
fork lore, bro. We have to bring the forks back. We have to do it.
in.
Hey, you got any forks for your beef jerky? That'd be
You know, we should.
That'd be good combo.
If I had you on my phone right now, we would just take a field trip to my kitchen cabinet and take a look
I
at
got
all the
some forks.
forks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess Dosey Do had a couple questions. He was asking. I mean, we're gonna touch on future plans in a little bit, but he was asking, do we have prediction markets on the roadmap? If we have any opinion on quantum computing cracking BTC, um, any quick thoughts on those fellas?
Nice. Good questions.
Yeah, just super quick thoughts on quantum computing. What
Yeah.
do you think?
Let's dive right into
Long story short, I don't think so
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
moment.
I think that people a whole lot smarter than me are going to figure that out. That's what I think.
I mean, I've already seen Casey talking about it too and stuff within the last week. There's some back and forth, but I think right now consensus is that it's not a concern. Long story short, of course, everyone's got to do their own research on that, but from I don't personally have a concern about it right now either. But
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
We got time. These people are working on it, which is good. It's safe. We got
In
lots
terms of like the market, like Brian from Coinbase just tweeted that he was going to start looking into it as well. So, Coinbase money is getting behind the question as we speak. Who knows what
Yep.
that means, but
Right.
stuff's happening.
Yep. That's what's great about Bitcoin too, is like it can, like it changes slow, but it can change, when we need to. So it just takes that consensus and teamwork from basically everybody, which is both a beautiful thing and a challenging thing at times. But yeah,
Exactly how it should be. Yep.
right, right. That's the trade off, but totally worth it. So
Facts.
keeps it safe.
Yeah.
What was the first question too? The first question was prediction markets, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't thought much about this. One thing that we did try to explore and still are like kind of exploring, but nothing like committed, is the potential for like an earn page on Liquidium. And then basically what that would mean is we could kind of like abstract away some more advanced strategies that people do to earn yield. The most simple one being what's called a carry trade. So basically, what you would do is you would borrow against your Bitcoin, and then you would take your stable coin and go and put it somewhere that's going to generate yield. And as long as that yield that's being generated is greater than the interest you owe on your loan, you're making money. So this is something super interesting that we wanted to explore, because with Liquidium being cross-chain, right, we're kind of open to any yield protocol. We can kind of integrate to any of them. Plus, you can collateralize eventually, anything. So you could like deposit Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana all into one single carry trade, and you're earning yield on essentially all those assets at once. So this is something that we're exploring. It could be really, really useful for the market.
Fantastic.
I would be curious what assets people want to see next on the platform. So if you're watching and you're like, oh, Pete just said that sounds awesome, I would do that with this asset. Tell us what that would be. I would love to know.
Yeah, put it in the comments for sure.
100%. 100%. We need to know.
Uh, One thing I want to touch on real quick before we jump to the next section. Both of you fellas have been tweeting and making content about current strategies or proposed strategies that could be done utilizing the cross-chain loans in conjunction with other platforms. I know you kind of touched on them a little bit just a second ago with carry trades, but Did you guys want to like give out any plays out of the playbook that people could chew on possibly in that regard?
Pete, you just highlighted Athena the other day. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a nice carry trade option. I think because most people are familiar with USDE, but of course, do your own research, not financial advice. Make sure you check them out and check out the strategies and make sure you understand the risks for anything. But yeah, the stablecoin carry trades is something that I've been diving into recently that seems really, really awesome. I saw some article saying that like the majority of borrowing volume on like pooled systems is for carry trades. That's what people are doing, right? Because a lot of the time people wonder why are you borrowing in the first place, and some people want to just use borrow so they don't have to sell. But apparently, a huge use case is to borrow and try to make yield. It also makes a lot of sense. And this is something that seems like people have explored for many years now with DeFi, and yeah, that's why I think if we're able to like abstract that away and also make it even easier, any asset can come in. That's pretty big.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would also say like if you guys want to read up a little bit more on some specific proposed plays, Perp has written a pretty nice blog article that he shared not too long ago there as well.
I wasn't going to toot my own horn, but yeah, no, I appreciate the shout out. But yeah, if you go back through my articles, I just compiled a bunch of different strategies, trying to keep it as simple as possible without wrapping as much stuff as we can. Like that's another thing worth re-mentioning is that all of the stuff that Liquidium is doing is with native Bitcoin. So it's cool. Like we're one of the first people that are like really prioritizing that over other things. So there's not a whole lot of other people out there that are prioritizing it, but I think that's going to grow soon. We're not going to see as many rappers, but yeah, there's lots of different plays out there. Coinbase even has like an institutional yield product that's good for stable coins. So basically, the strategy is try and find a good spread where you don't have to wrap very many times, because just keep in mind that every time you do a transaction, you're eating some fees. Every bridge and wrapper takes a bit of fees. So when you're doing those, like Pete said, this is not financial advice. And then also keep in mind the practicalities of the thing. You want to take as few steps as possible, because every step is a little bit of chipping away at your profits. So powerful tool, but some good things to keep in mind that I kind of like was reminded of during my research.
So true. And go the complete opposite way. The most risky strategy you can do.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
The most risky strategy you can do is leverage, which actually somebody who I was not expecting to reach out to me. I'm not gonna say who it was, but somebody was like, "Hey, how can I do leverage on Liquidium?" And I was just like surprised that this person would want to do that because of the risks and whatnot. But yeah, basically what you can do is you can cycle and in a way get like
call it right.
Looping. Yeah, that's the word. Right, looping. And then you can get like 1.5 up to I think maybe 2x. I don't know if we ran the numbers, but 2x leverage for pretty affordable prices. But again, you just gotta manage that risk. But what you're doing is you're depositing your Bitcoin, you're borrowing USDT, stable coins or whatever, and then you're buying more Bitcoin with that and depositing it again into Liquidium and repeating that loop. So yeah, super risky, not financial advice, but something some people have tried and expressed interest in. And yeah, something else that we could abstract away into that earn page is just like a way to, so you don't have to calculate everything on your own. We can kind of just show the calculations. If you want to take that risk, you can do it. Who are we to say don't? But yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me, it throws me back. I'll show my age. It reminds me of the good old Binance Smart Chain days when we were first experimenting with all this stuff on chain. And then protocols would just let you choose like a multiplier for how many times you wanted to loop, and they would batch it all. And then so that way because like I just said a second ago, while you can do that, you also do eat at least transaction fees on every time that you do it, right? So it's just something you have to calculate into your profit, like profit loss. But if Liquidium were to just create a little loop button, then it becomes easier. So, but yeah, no, it's a fascinating mechanism. Interesting way to go. Like I would compare it versus other market rates, right? If you can save on your fees, which if you catch Bitcoin at a nice block time, and then Ethereum is really cheap most of the time as well these days. So yeah, fascinating. I love the degen strategies, man. Always hit me with those.
Yeah, totally. I think that was in your article too. You wrote about a bunch of them. I think that was the last
Yep.
one.
Yep. I sorted it by risk factor for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yo, real quick, shout out Mo ICP, our brother out there, spreading the good word. And Dosey Do BTC absolutely took me out with his last comment. Said, I don't know if you guys saw it on screen here. Looking for car insurance, would the panel know who Tiger uses? It has to be like
Oh.
Allstate, you're in good hands, right? Or some shit.
Nobody's insuring him, bro. Come on. Oh my god.
Also, quick off-topic question. Dosey Do brought up Artemis and was asking if the team believes in ETs and UAPs. I think I probably don't need
You're
to
in the
answer
right.
that too much. I'm literally wearing a shirt that says "Keep your eyes on the sky."
Oh, that's sick. That's sick.
Yeah, shout out James. Go check out his page for more if you want to know more about that.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
just
totally.
say I'm visited frequently.
Yeah, James is your connect. Let's go.
Yeah, I think this is a nice spot for us to jump in chat about what we have coming up on the horizon for the build here. We want to talk about what assets that we have planned, anything that builder specific, what builders should be looking out for from us. Yeah, let's jump into that. Maybe Pete, you want to jump into that first, and I can do some follow up.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. So I think we touched on some of them already, but the biggest thing is probably listing new assets because that just opens the door for a whole new use cases that you can't do anywhere else. So one thing I think the first asset that's coming up is pretty clear, and it's going to be USDC, so another stablecoin, which is just listening to users. That's something that people have been asking for. Some people have preferences on which stables they're using, or where they're gonna go and what they're gonna do with their stablecoin. So yeah, USDC is a pretty clear next option, and that really lays the groundwork for any of the other tokens coming next, because then we have the two biggest stablecoins available for whichever asset you're depositing as collateral. And the decision is still not out on what's next. We're still trying to figure out what makes the most sense, but just to rattle some of them off, I think the big guys are pretty obvious, like Ethereum, Solana, and ICP. All those are pretty obvious because big guys, good to integrate, and yeah, new use cases for a lot of those assets. Another thing that we've been playing around with, or like low key considering that could come on, is Dogecoin. That'd be kind of crazy, but
That'd be wild.
just totally just thinking about it, but not any commitments yet. But definitely, if people are interested in something like that, because I don't know if you can collateralize your Doge anywhere, so it could be pretty attractive for some people. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of Doge holders.
A lot of Doge holders, yeah. So
Doge
those,
always
yeah.
signals the next run, so I mean, we could start the next bull run. I like it.
Oh, yeah, Doge is going to the moon along with Artemis.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, as far as assets, I think those are the next clear ones. If I missed any, let me know. But I think those are the ones.
Yeah. No, I think you got that right.
Cool. Yeah, otherwise the SDK is in the works right now. We're making good progress there. Then once that's out, it'll be easy for Liquidium to integrate anywhere seamlessly. And like I said before, since we're still kind of the new guy on the block, we have like really good interest rates for a while in the beginning, which leads to some good opportunities. And yeah, there's a couple teams we're already speaking to try and get that integrated once it's ready. Um, but yeah, so hopefully, some of them, I'm sure people have heard of and know. So I'm really, really excited to see those get working, get going in progress. But we're almost there. We're almost there.
Yes, sir. Cooking up. And then also to mention, we have been having some chats with people who are looking to run liquidator bots possibly with us, as well as utilizing our platform and their borrowing strategy against their assets. So we have a few different angles here that we are working with the community to try to make, the tech a part of any solutions that may help, as well as unlocking that liquidity for users, as well as entity vehicle investment vehicles, etc. So definitely want to bring it around. We're keen to working with any different players, everybody in the ecosystem who's building. Best way to reach out to us, feel free to DM us, I would say, on our Twitter, as we're pretty active there, pretty attentive there. So if you yourself have a project that is working in this similar vertical, or if you have a fund, or even yourself as an investor have a strategy where these low borrowing rates may be appealing in your flow, hit us up and we'll definitely get with you and help you out as best as we can personally.
Shout out Bitcoin miners. Shame on y'all for dumping so much Bitcoin. Come get a cheap loan from Liquidium and don't sell your sats. Come on now.
Oh, and
Tell
Bitcoin.
them, bro.
Bro,
Tell them. So
come
tired
on.
of seeing that. Like, oh, we're gonna sell our. Why?
It's
Why?
2026. Don't sell your
What
sats.
are you doing?
Oh, you're sad.
Sell it right to BlackRock. Why don't you?
For real. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
You might drop.
Also, can't wait for the day that people are vibe coding some Liquidium stuff. Like, that's gonna be freaking sick.
That day may be coming sooner rather than later. We were in discussions with the Definity Foundations and doing such kind of things with a hackathon. So maybe something comes of it soon. We'll see. We are
Yeah.
working hand in hand with the Definity Foundation as well. So, some more things for people to think about there. Do we have any final points you boys wanted to make on the expansion note before we kind of bridge it over here?
I think that's everything, but yeah, I think that's everything. A lot, the groundwork's being laid right now, so a lot's getting ready. Things can shake up pretty soon.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's gonna get interesting. And also, I think this is a perfect time for us to be chatting about this platform and the low borrowing rates and whatnot. As let's just say the market isn't exactly heated up yet. Let's just say it's kind of maybe a little bit lackluster, or short of things to do. There's not really too much going on. I mean, we all remember all the crazy minting days and price action, wild things like that. Everything has been pretty flat across the board. So I think this is a perfect time where you, for example, borrow against things that you have conviction in on Bitcoin, and you make some plays on the low, and maybe stack some more Bitcoin. Just an idea there. And
SBA, baby,
you
that's the
know,
way.
the bear markets are a gift for those who have conviction, and this would be the time to utilize these kind of rates and strategies versus the frenzy that is a bull market and chasing the candle. That was just my 2 cents.
Two sats. But yeah. Sats, man. Who?
Well, now that the
More.
penny isn't being produced anymore, is that going to go up in value?
And no
That's
more pennies, right?
cool. It doesn't make any sense. That's sad about the penny. Actually, you know what? I bet that makes the Sense Ordinals collection more valuable.
There we go. Yeah, we need to have a chat with them. Any
But yeah,
more questions out there in the crowd?
I've been looking. I haven't seen anything else on X so far.
Oh, that's pretty good then. It means we explain things pretty well. I see we have about 112 people watching live right now. Shouts out to all of you legends out there in a bear market watching us.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It's
People are
fire.
bored, man. People are bored.
You got that right. Well, give
We're
us
here to
a
entertain, all right? We're here to
yeah,
entertain.
give us a good old retweet out there for the vibes. For those who are sticking around, please go ahead and give this a share, and maybe some people who might be interested in this cross chain loans product see this video, come across this kind of a thing. Help a brother out, kind of a deal. What are you guys' kind of outlook on the interim term of the market overall?
I can go real quick and then I'll pass it over to Pete. I was just thinking it's like Liquidium and has great rates on Bitcoin and like all this new tech exists now that didn't exist the last time that everyone was calling bear market. Literally just the other day I saw JP Morgan tweet and say that they're going to allow like basically Bitcoin mortgages for the first time ever. So like all of the global macroeconomic situation, which we like to sling around that term, is like not doesn't feel great. But it also feels like it's pretty obvious that finance needs an upgrade. And if JP Morgan is taking Bitcoin as collateral, you know that we're taking steps in that direction. So I feel like if you're watching this right now, you know the stuff that you need to know to position accordingly. So GG's, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're going to make it this next cycle. Because, yeah, you're in the right place at the right time. That's what I got to say.
Hell yeah. Liquidium was taking Bitcoin as collateral before JP Morgan.
Know it, baby. Know it. That's right.
I love that.
Yeah, right. That's fire. But yeah, man. I mean, Bitcoin's basically a stable coin right now. And to echo what you were saying earlier, James, too, it's like this is the time to experiment. Get your forks in a row and line everything. Sharpen your forks. While things are quiet, so that you know what you're doing when the time comes. And then the interest is low, so it's like easy to test with. The fees are low, so good to experiment and explore. Bear markets are for building. If that's where we are, I don't even know.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But the opportunities are always there, right?
Absolutely.
Always there.
Josie Doe said in the
Yeah.
chat real quick, the Clarity Act is bullish question mark, and I would say absolutely. That's just another sign that like this industry is important enough to get attention from the US's government. That's and getting clarity is way better than operating in a gray zone where they can just like rule by enforcement type crap that it's been for years. So yeah, I think it's super bullish.
Facts.
Totally.
Also, kind of doubling down on something you kind of hit on the head a second ago, Perp, was if you're looking for signals, right? Like seeing a few big players these past week or two start accepting Bitcoin for mortgages. Again, that what about that signal tells you to sell your Bitcoin, miners? Let me just
right.
be real blunt. Like when you see BlackRock, Fidelity, not only, still buying Bitcoin, and then on
Yeah.
top of that, their entities for all these other mortgage companies are now saying, "Oh, we're going to take Bitcoin as mortgage." Okay, I would say act smarter, but I mean I'm just going to be blunt. Act smarter.
Yeah. Keep your sats, miners.
Doesn't make sense. It just honestly does not make sense why you wouldn't
And miners have
collateralize
clean
it.
stats too, if you think of it like that. So I would even say that they're worth a premium. The market doesn't treat them that way, but I think that that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other thing is you're gonna tax it too. So like you're kind of selling for even less than what you're selling for,
Right.
which
Good
hits
point.
you also. I wonder if the coins that they sell I'm sure they try to sell the older ones that they have. I wonder if they have older ones because obviously, like at least in the US, long-term capital
Right.
gains are different than short-term. I think it's
Right.
like that in many places, but yeah, I wonder.
But it's still like 20-some%, isn't it?
I thought it was closer to like 35. But
On
yeah.
on long
To be
term.
honest. Sure.
I don't know
Yeah.
about long term. Short term is 35.
Short term, short
I don't know
term.
about.
I
I don't
think
know
long
about
term's like 22 or 25 or something like that.
Damn, is it that high? I thought it was
I
lower. I don't
think
know
so. Maybe for us plebes.
though.
I think that's actually worth emphasizing real quick. Is that all the smart money out there right now in the Wall Street and stuff? They use debt, cheap debt, to be able to like build wealth. Liquidium using Bitcoin is offering you a chance to use cheap debt. You just got to decide like how to build wealth. So pretty powerful tool.
Cool.
Keys.
Cool. And soon, not just Bitcoin, any crypto. That's the goal. We can get everything on here.
Oh yeah. Oh, it'll be nice, man. People can, come and bring the assets they have conviction in and borrow against them, right? Those high conviction
Yo,
assets. Well, dope. Looks like we're all good and clear on the questions and everything. Let's go ahead and give the people one more final parting goodbye. We'll start with Pete, then go Perp, and then I'll finish it off.
awesome. Yeah, appreciate everybody who's here. It's hype to see almost 120 people watching. I'm sure more have tuned in and tuned out. So thanks for stopping by. Lunch Club is definitely sweet and dear to my heart. So happy to share it with everybody. But yeah, exciting times ahead as always. There's always opportunity, and we're here building.
Heck yeah, I'm happy to have been here as my first time as an official team member. This is like my third or fourth lunch club, I think, just because me and James have traded favors for so many years at this point. um, but yeah, no, my ending alpha is dollar cost average Bitcoin and dollar cost average your health, because time and health are both very scarce and important. So do that.
Beautiful. My final parting words include keep your eyes on our Twitter, as we are going to continue taking feedback and building this product to the best of our ability to help serve you in our best capacity. And with that being said, if you have any want to reach out to us about integrating our SDK in the future, or working, utilizing our platform, things like that, hit us up in DM on our Liquidium Fi Twitter. Other than that, be good to each other. Stay positive out here in this wonky market. And as my shirt says, keep your eyes on the sky.
Good vibes, much love.